Hey gamers, welcome to my channel. As some of you may know from my previous videos, the PlayStation 3 was the first PlayStation that I bought. My first home console was the Sega Mega Drive, and then I bought the Nintendo 64. And I love Zelda so much that in the next generation I bought the Nintendo GameCube and later the Dreamcast. I didn't like the Nintendo Wii that much, yet in the GameCube and Dreamcast I fell in love with the Resident Evil series, so because I wanted to play Resident Evil 5 and Street Fighter 4, I decided to buy a PlayStation 3, and I didn't regret that. So today I'm going to rank my favorite games in this wonderful system. Are you ready? Let's start. Doom 3. Being a massive Doom fan and having finished Doom 1, 2, Final Doom and Doom 64 so many times, I have to buy this one. Doom 3 is the final masterpiece of John Carmack. The game was a dream for me. I love the involvements, the horror, the level design, the new animations and design of the old enemies, the boss fights, the perfect design of the weapons, the amazing sound. This game is a never-ending list of goodness. The father of all first-person shooters returned for the third time in the bloody and very dark shooter, fast action, cool weapons. Yes, it have a simple story, but Doom was never about the story anyway. I also love the most recent games, Doom and Doom Eternal, but in those games we no longer have suspense, we no longer feel fear and terror, as the games are more action-oriented, and honestly, I would love to see the series come back to the roots because, for me, this is a real Doom.
Power fluctuations in main communications router 48A6. Attempting insulation reroute.
Tomb Raider. Being a fan of Tomb Raider since the first one, I was quite satisfied with this new trilogy. The quality of them is almost at the level of Uncharted. Any old or new fan of the franchise will be amazed by the high quality of any game in this trilogy. Tomb Raider, Rise of Tomb Raider and Shadow of Tomb Raider. Fun exploration, gameplay, excellent graphics, presentation and good soundtrack. Overall, I love this reboot. We can hunt, update our weapons, the action is very good and in my opinion, this is the best Lara ever. Ultimate Marvel vs Capcom 3. I don't like 3-on-3 fighting games that much, but it's impossible not to love this one. We have the best Capcom characters against the best Marvel superheroes, but the most important, the gameplay. The gameplay is insane, with insane combos, huge special moves. Even after so many years, top players still discover new combos. I love to see the online tournaments, but honestly, in the beginning, I only saw tournaments while I waited for the Street Fighter tournament to start. But when I saw the passion, the competitive level of the players, the combos that never ended, I gave this game a chance and I bought it for the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita, and believe me, I didn't regret it. Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I love this game so much that I also bought a copy for the PS Vita. For those who doesn't know, one of my favorite games ever is Shadow Warriors Gaiden in the original Game Boy. But this great, long-running ninja series begin in this arcade game, and then it have a great trilogy for the NES. Almost all games in the Ninja Gaiden series have high quality, and this one is not exception. The graphics still hold up very well, and the action is great. The boss fights are super cool, with lots of cool animations. In Chapter 5, 8 and 14, we can play with Rachel that have a different gameplay compared to him. The story, as almost all ninja games, is simple. And in my humble opinion, if you enjoy a good action game or a ninja game, you will definitely going to enjoy this one. It's a hard game, but it's undoubted worth playing. Resident Evil 5. I fell in love with the Resident Evil series in the Dreamcast and GameCube. The first one I played, and still today my favorite, was Resident Evil Code Veronica. And then I also played and finished Resident Evil 2 and 3 in the Dreamcast, and 0, 1 and 4 for the GameCube. Unfortunately, just like Resident Evil 4, this fifth one is not a survivor horror, but a third-person shooter. No puzzles to resolve, is always walk forward and shoot, like Resident Evil 4 was. No scary moments, no zombies. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, obvious. If it wasn't good, wouldn't be in this list. But it's not a Resident Evil game, it's just an excellent action shooter with the characters that we all love. The gameplay and the controls are better than in Resident Evil 4, the action is non-stop, and the boss fights are one of the best in the series. So overall, I love the game and I finished multiple times. Metal Gear Solid 4. Like I said before, the PlayStation 3 was my first Sony console, and this Metal Gear Solid 4 was my first Metal Gear game. And I love it so much that I also bought the Metal Gear Solid collection also for the PlayStation 3. Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Color, and later Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes for the GameCube. And yet Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite. I also love this one. I didn't like the long cutscenes, but everything else I love it. It was possible the first game I played with good voice acting. The graphics at the time were the best in any game and still hold up very well today. The bosses are still today one of the best in the series. And overall, for me, it is almost a 10/10 video game. And it is a shame that it wasn't released for other platforms yet.
While she still can.
When armies are bought and sold, the Patriots are trying to control the digital flow of information.
God of War 3, just like Metal Gear Solid 4, the first game I played in this series was in the PlayStation 3, and that was God of War 3. And then, just like Metal Gear Solid, I bought the collection also for the PlayStation 3, and this is today my God of War collection. I haven't bought and played the last one yet, but all the others I finished countless times. What I love the first time I played this series was the fast and brutal gameplay, the huge boss fights. Kratos is such an amazing main character, and fighting against the gods of Olympus was beyond my imagination. This is one of the few games that, in my opinion, is very hard to find a flaw, and for me it was a great journey to play this game from the beginning to the end. The Last of Us. I never thought that Naughty Dog would make another franchise as good as Uncharted, but they did. The story is one of the best ever in any video game. The relation between Joel and Ellie is one of the highlights in this game, with probably the best voice acting ever, and one of the best endings. For me, this game is perfect. The action is not just shoot and kill. We must play hide and seek to find the best possible strategy to kill or avoid an enemy. If Uncharted and Metal Gear Solid had a baby, that baby would be The Last of Us. Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. Among Thieves is considered by many one of the best games ever made. It has an average game rating score of 96% and earned many Game of the Year awards. I don't care very much for score or awards. There are so many great games that I love that have low scores and poor sales, and others with almost perfect scores that win many awards and sold millions that I didn't like. But in this case, in my opinion, the game deserved it all. Since the 3D graphics came out, this is probably my second favorite all-time game, after Zelda Ocarina of Time. The game sets 2 years after the events of the first game. Nathan is contacted by his former associate Eddie Flynn and Eddie's Flynn girlfriend Sho Fraser. This time Naughty Dog really pulled themselves and the PlayStation 3 to the limits. In the interview promoting the game at the time, they claimed that Uncharted 2 used between 90 and 100% of the cell processor in the PlayStation 3 and used all 25 gigabits of a single Blu-ray disc. The game has stunning visuals, a huge update from the first one, and also introduced Sho Fraser, one of my favorite characters from the series. And we all must admit.
But admit it, you're gonna miss this ass.
Ultra Street Fighter 4. When Street Fighter 4 was released, The game received universal critical acclaim, receiving high scores from many game websites and magazines, and was followed by Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and Ultra Street Fighter 4. All versions of Street Fighter 4 sold over 9 million copies across all platforms, and for me, is by far not just the best Street Fighter game, but also the best fighting game ever made. I really doubt that Capcom will ever top this game. This was the game that made me buy my first PlayStation, the PlayStation 3. I always bought Nintendo and Sega consoles, but I never in my life was going to miss a Street Fighter game. So I bought PlayStation 3 and 4 arcade sticks. Yes, 4. I have lots of friends and I got 2 from Mad Cats and 2 from Europe. I always had friends in my house to play against each other. I always wake up very early to go to work, and I remember so many nights that I almost didn't sleep to see Street Fighter 4 tournaments. Tournaments always end up very late because time zones, and me and my friends always talk in the Skype during the tournaments. The reason why Street Fighter was so good in tournaments is because the way each player could play with a character. If I saw a player playing with Guile, for example, even without seeing the name of the player on the screen, I would immediately say who he was. Street Fighter 4 have link combos, FADC combos, focus attacks, a total of 44 characters. If I combine the hours I play in Street Fighter 4 in my PlayStation 3 and now in PC, I probably have 3000 hours. But even with that 3000 hours, sometimes I still miss some links and FADC combos. The execution level was insane. Even a top player take almost a year to level up a character, and that was very good for me. Some people demoralized for not being able to hit the links and gave up on the game. That happened to some friends of mine. For me, was the contrary. I love improving my skills and learning something new every day. And one thing I'm sure, just like Street Fighter 2, I'm going to play this game for the rest of my life. And that's it, gamers. Please tell me, did you have or have a PlayStation 3? Do you love this console as much as I do? Please tell me in the comments. As always, I hope you like this video and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.